Sup, dudes? Right here. And today, we talk about a sad, pathetic, hateful old man. And we roast him. So, before we start off, I want to ask a couple of questions here. First, how hard is it to respect your peers in the industry that you work at? The ones that contribute things. I understand every industry has their leeches and the bottom of the barrel and all that shit. But the people who are genuinely improving the industry that you're in and creating a living for yourself through putting that industry on the map. You figured you'd want to at least show some kind of respect, right? Easy. And number two, how hard is it to keep your mouth shut about the dead and just be respectful? Pretty simple questions, right? I feel like the answer to that, to either of those, is fairly easy. Well, there's one pathetic ass old man who seems to not even have a clue as to finding the answers to this. And that person is Pink Floyd's Roger Waters. Now, 3 weeks ago, Roger did an interview with the Independent Ink podcast. And for some reason, he decided to use that platform to trash the global treasure that is Ozzy Osbourne. Now, in this interview, he talked about how pop culture figures and media can be used to distract people from important political issues, right? Great, another fucking conspiracy theorist nut job. Beginning to see a pattern here with this guy. Now, he talked about how they can use Taylor Swift, Kim Kardashian, and all this shit, but then he brought Ozzy Osbourne into it. And this is where we're going to pull this quote from. Now, I got this from loudwire.com. I'm going to post that link below, too. I strongly suggest finding any information about this in ways that do not directly support Roger Waters. You should not go to his Instagram. You shouldn't ask him. You shouldn't do anything. You should not do anything that puts a penny in that man's pocket because he does not deserve anything other than scorn and a nice talking to. A real solid, nice talking to. So in this interview, he goes, or Ozzy Osbourne, who just died, bless him. Don't say bless him. Does that make you? I feel like he thinks this makes him look like a saint. Oh, bless him. Bless him. How pretentious. Get the fuck off your high horse. Anyways, bless him in his whatever the state that he was in his whole life. We'll never know. Oh, you mean the state of success? The state of winning? The state of having a wonderful family, a loving family, a terrific manager, a loving wife? The state of being admired in pretty much any industry that you're a part of? Not even just music, sports, all of it? That state? I can understand why you wouldn't know what that state is, because the state you've been living in recently is a state of confusion, a state of resentment, a state of hatefulness. You're like a little fucking troll that just lives in a cave and does nothing more than come out and bitches about the sun and hisses. Side note here, I'm going to be extremely biased in this. I am. This is 100% bias. I'm not advocating equality here. I'm advocating the verbal evisceration of this man. That's what I want. Anyways, we'll never know. Although he was all over the TV for hundreds of years with his idiocy and nonsense. Well, if anybody knows about idiocy and nonsense, it's definitely you, Roger. He goes on. And he starts talking about the music of all things, the music. Come on, bro. Come on. You want to really talk about the music? Okay, go ahead. Fuck it. You might as well be headbutting a brick wall at that point. He goes on to say, the music, I have no idea. I couldn't give a fuck. I don't care about Black Sabbath. I never did. I have no interest in sticks tongue out, and biting the heads off of chickens or whatever they do. I couldn't care less. Look, I'm going to be real careful just saying this because I like Pink Floyd. I listen to Pink Floyd. I've had some pretty awesome experiences while listening to Pink Floyd. And for the most part, I really do think that band is influential. I think it's got to have a solid footprint in the music world. Now, not as big as a footprint as Black Sabbath, right? Like, let's be honest, I don't think there's going to be any band or any kind of musical group, maybe other than the Beatles. I would put the Beatles and Black Sabbath, as far as music is concerned, as the progenitor of all this, progenitus of all of this, the primordial ooze from which music and metal crept. But as far as the metal industry is concerned, there's only one band that's ever started this, and you can't find any metal artist that's going to even argue this. And that band is Black Sabbath. It's I'm a, Now, unfortunately, due to YouTube's policies, I can't really lace this with profanity. So I'm going to try and be creative here. But I need you to understand, as a viewer watching this, I can't think of enough words to describe how disgusting and pathetic this man is. Not only to try to tarnish the legacy of Black Sabbath and Ozzy Osbourne, which honestly, that legacy is adamantium clad. You're not going to scratch it. You're not going to break it. It's unbreakable. It's immutable. It's an immutable fact of reality that on the pile in the kingdom of heavy metal, one man sits on that throne. But not only that, you sit here and just by proxy, you drag Pink Floyd into this. And I once again, I want to make it clear, crystal clear, that I thoroughly enjoy Pink Floyd. I really do. I think their music is very insightful, and it's very it it has allowed me, at least, to be very mindful of myself. And it's really cool to listen to. And yet you got this dickbag Roger tarnishing that just by being himself, just by being this hateful little goblin. And so, in an effort to see where Pink Floyd's views, the rest of their band views, align as far as David Gilmour or as far as Roger Waters, I found another article with Loudwire, link below, where David Gilmour kind of shares his thoughts about it. David Gilmour insists he'll never perform with Roger Waters again. David Gilmour insists that there is nothing that could conceivably get him back on stage with Roger Waters. During a Q&A with The Guardian, a fan queried whether Gilmour and his former Pink Floyd bandmate could ever perform again. And I quote, "Absolutely not," the guitarist responded. "I tend to steer clear of people who actively support genocidal and autocratic dictators like Putin, Maduro, who is also the president of Venezuela. Nothing would make me share a stage with someone who thinks such treatment of women and the LGBT community is okay." Well, there you have it. I mean, let's look at this guy real quick. I mean, like, you can look at him and see these quotes, and you can kind of understand exactly the kind of person this guy is. So even Pink Floyd wants nothing to do with Roger Waters. Roger Waters is a cyst on society. And I can only hope, I can only pray to whatever God exists out there that this eats at Waters. I hope he loses sleep over this. I bet he doesn't. He's probably so full of himself that he just doesn't do anything but smells his own farts and probably enjoys it too. And it's just good to know that at least Pink Floyd, or the guitarist at least, kind of shares the same sentiment that we all do. And you know who else shares the same sentiment? And obviously so, our boy Jack Osbourne. Now, first and foremost, I don't want to say something cheesy or goofy like I extend my condolences or anything like that, right? I feel like it's cheesy for people to reach out to celebrities and things like this in these moments, right? I think you should respect their space and give them all the time they need to process what's going on and to accept it, right? And to understand what it is, and to move past it. I don't want to sit here and act like I know you or want to give you a pat on the back, but I will say knowing how I felt about all this and seeing how other people have felt about all this, I can only imagine what you and your family are going through. And I won't say anything other than that. I'm not going to sit here and try to squeeze any of this. Just know that our thoughts, my heart and all this has been with you and your family this whole time. So, moving on. Jack had the best quote and response to this. Hey, at Roger Waters, fuck you. How pathetic and out of touch you've become. The only way you seem to get attention these days is by vomiting out bullshit in the press. My father always thought you were a cunt. Thanks for proving him right. Clown emoji. What a poetic response. What a absolute perfect response. Now, I don't want this to drag on too long, but I kind of want to give my 2 cents in on this, as if you probably already don't know where I'm coming from on this. There is no place in society for people like Roger. There is no place, in my eyes, in my opinion, my views. I don't care who he played for, what he's contributed as far as being an artist or a musician goes. When you're that hateful that your own bandmates don't want anything to do with you, when you're that hateful that you can't help but jab at a national fucking treasure of a human being, right? Let's compare. Let's just compare this here, okay? In Ozzy's last performance, the entire show, from opening band till the final act, was all charity. It was all donated to charity, and I could not think of a more beautiful ending to that story. I like it. It really, like, I teared up when I saw it, but I didn't tear up because I was sad. I teared up because, like, it was beautiful, man. This is the closest we're gonna ever get to, like, beauty in the metal world to me. There will never be anybody who even comes close to living a legacy like that. There will never be any entity in any kind of media that will even come close to having the same impact that Ozzy Osbourne and Black Sabbath did on not just metal, but the whole musical influence. Ozzy wasn't even once in a generation, dude. He was once in a millennium kind of person to me. It's crazy to think that I was able to witness something like that, witness somebody like him, listen and hear the stories of some band like that. I can't even begin to tell you how influential that was. So much so that when I first picked up the guitar, the very first song I learned, it wasn't even the whole song, but was Iron Man by Black Sabbath. And it was one little riff, the little breakdown, kind of towards the end. And I played that shit for 4 months straight until my dad told me I had to learn something different. But that's the impact that he had, not only on me, but the whole musical world. And once again, I can't reiterate, that's never going to be replicated. That influence will never be captured, copied, or replicated. There will be nobody like that. And I can't help but think that Roger just feels bitter about that. He feels hateful. He feels spiteful. He probably lives in a very miserable state of mind, which is the best thing I can hope for, because I'm not going to wish death on nobody. You know, I'm not going to hope you die. You know, I feel like if you do pass, that'll be too easy. I feel like you need to live long enough to understand how pathetic you are. I feel like you need to live long enough to see the success of your peers shadow and eclipse anything you do or say. I need you to live long enough to understand that these bullshit points you try to make and this political stance you try to take, these people you support, and this high chair that you're on is nothing more than a baby cradle, housing a whining, crying, pathetic baby who harbors nothing but resent and hatred towards anything they even look at. You can't even be man enough to appreciate the music that you helped create. You couldn't even be man enough to use this interview for yourself, to talk about the things you care about. No, instead you slander and you try to get clickbait and views off of bullshit. Well, congratulations, you fucking got it. You got it, but you're going to learn real quick that there is such thing as bad PR. And I hope your agent understands that. Or I don't even think you fucking have an agent. I think you just sit there miserable in your fucking house that you didn't build, that your bandmates built for you. You're nothing but a parasite, Roger. I want you to understand that. And I want you to understand that this is me. This is my bias. This is my view. I'm not going to talk shit about Pink Floyd. I like Pink Floyd. You, as a human being, are absolutely unequivocally pathetic. You're equivalent to a pissant in the world. And you need to understand that. But I doubt you will. It doesn't work like that. The world's a shitty place, man. I understand that. And more often than not, we don't get happy endings like Ozzy. More often than not, we don't get to go out like that. It is very rare that people find that kind of happiness in their lives the same way that Ozzy did, especially when you're a celebrity like that. Look at all the scandals that surround everybody else. Hell, look at fucking Hulk Hogan, our American hero. Look at all the bullshit that surrounded him. Look at all these pedos in the fucking celebrity world. Look at all these icons that are nothing more than just evil human beings. And then you have, ironically labeled, the Prince of Darkness, which is, I'm the King of Darkness. And yet he was the most beautiful man to ever exist. And he's taught more people how to be good individuals than you could ever even think about affecting with your bullshit. Roger Waters, you're a piece of shit, dude. And that's this day in metal.